With Battlefield 2042 flopping harder than LeBron James, many players old and new are looking to older titles in the series to try and capture some of the epic moments that only Battlefield can deliver. There are certainly games that do some aspects better, but to me Battlefield as a franchise brings so many different elements together in beautiful harmony that it's difficult to find an experience like it anywhere else, which is what makes the situation with 2042 more heartbreaking than anything. Although we may see competitors fill in the Battlefield-sized hole in the shooter market going forward. In this video, I wanted to discuss which Battlefield, barring a comeback story for 2042 more impressive than Robert Downey Jr.'s, you should be playing in 2022 on PC. Before we jump in, I just want to thank anyone watching this for checking out the content, and if you enjoy it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps in maintaining growth, which admittedly has stalled the past month or so, but I'm still having a blast making videos, so let's just keep it going and get started. When I consider the question, three titles spring to mind as the most viable options: Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, and Battlefield 5. As much as I love 3 and consider it to be one of the high points in the entire series, it's a bit difficult to jump back into having a smaller but dedicated player base, stability issues with battle log, and some outdated mechanics. It's just not as modern as the other three. However, it's still an incredible title in its own right. Battlefield Hardline, an entry I missed the boat on but was impressed with when I finally checked it out, has an even smaller player base with only 1 or 2 active servers on PC, which makes it really difficult to recommend.
You scared yet?
Now, if you have Game Pass, you can easily try all 3 and determine which one is worth your time, or even bounce between all 3 of them depending on your mood, as a true Chad like myself. But if you don't or have limited time, it's good to know what's worth investing into. The answer is, it really depends on what you're looking for, and I'll explain why. Let's start with Battlefield 4. Considered by many to be the best in the series, 4 has a strong and active player base and regularly goes on sale for quite cheap. The primary difference of 4, and one that may draw more interest, is its modern day setting. I know for many players using older World War II or World War I era weapons just isn't as appealing as running around with a pimped out M4 or SCAR, and herein lies one of 4's greatest strengths, especially when compared to 1 and 5, which is its impressive weapon and vehicle selection and customization. Battlefield 4, more so than any of the other titles, gives a level of agency and freedom to the players that is rarely found in any other shooter, providing plenty of tools and toys to play with in its large sandbox. And while I think 4 holds up really well visually, in some ways it does show its age a bit, such as wonky netcode, which can impact how consistent shooting and firefights can feel, a hell of a lot of vehicle spam on certain maps, with nigh unkillable pilots and tankers wreaking havoc on infantry, and some poorly designed base maps. The last one is greatly alleviated by the DLC maps, which I highly recommend getting in addition, with premium included so you can enjoy those. However, it can be difficult to find servers running all those beautiful maps, which can be disappointing. 4 also features some incredibly annoying gadgets, and 3D spotting is a mechanic I will always dislike. Overall though, I think what sways your decision to go with 4 is its setting. If a modern military shooter is much more appealing than the other eras, I definitely recommend playing Battlefield 4 in 2022, you will not regret it. Next, let's look at Battlefield 1. 1 is a very unique game, not only when compared to other shooters, but also when compared to other Battlefield games, and I've admitted before I have a significant bias here, as 1 is probably my favorite entry in the franchise. Unparalleled in its beauty, horror, scale, and atmosphere, Battlefield 1 is not just a game, it can be an experience. And that to me is its greatest strength. While it has a number of weaknesses which I'll discuss in a moment, Battlefield 1 as a complete package is to me the most realized and polished of any Battlefield game. Everything from sound design, narration, music, visuals, and gameplay feeds into a distinct and purposeful vision of what this game should look, sound, and feel like to play. It all comes together in beautiful synchronization and results in some of the most epic and immersive gameplay I have ever experienced. Fortunately, the game is still going very strong in 2022, especially with how dead in the water 2042 remains for now. However, some game modes are basically completely dead, to be fair. Where Battlefield 1 may fall behind though when compared to the other two, for many people is the actual gunplay and certain gameplay mechanics that can result in significant frustration. Guns are clunky and inaccurate, which certainly fits the setting, but still may not be fun for some. They also feature little to no customization, and I never liked the weapon variant system. 3D spotting returns, and behemoths, although epic in scale, can be extremely annoying to face, and while I love them, I know many find the base maps to be subpar. Visually, however, Battlefield 1 remains, in my opinion, the best looking Battlefield to this day, with some truly gorgeous vistas and sights to see. Overall, if you want to witness a conflict rarely seen in video games and are more invested in an overall war game experience than maybe faster and more polished gunplay, then I highly recommend diving into the trenches of Battlefield 1 in 2022. Lastly, we have, prior to 2042, probably the most hated Battlefield at launch, Battlefield 5. No one can argue that the launch and reception of 5 wasn't rough, and its live service model was more barren than Hourglass. Although sadly, when compared to 2042's, it looks content rich. But now after many updates and additions, we can look back and say that Battlefield 5 is actually a really solid game. I always enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite certainly, but from a gameplay perspective, it is insanely fun, especially with the Pacific content, which given its quality compared to the rest of the game, is the best DLC content the series has ever seen. Like I said, I always enjoyed the gameplay of 5 greatly, stupid time to kill changes notwithstanding, and visually it can impress with some beautiful moments. The sound design of 5 is extremely underrated in my opinion, and this game can sound absolutely phenomenal at times. It features many quality of life improvements when compared to past titles, and a lot of new mechanics that I really like, such as squad reviving, crouch sprinting, fortifications, the broad removal of 3D spotting outside of class-specific instances, and more. The movement and gunplay of 5 is probably my favorite of the series, and it just feels really fluid and good to play. Another point on 5's side is, of the 3 discussed, it definitely has the most active player base at the time of this video, and finding full servers is never an issue. It does have its weaknesses too, however. Weapon customization exists, but is really underwhelming when compared to 4, and it lacks the polish and unified design elements of 1, resulting in some jarring and immersion-breaking character, weapon, and vehicle models. I really dislike some of the maps as well, and probably the biggest issue on PC for me is the number of hackers. Hackers are unfortunately extremely prevalent, but finding the right server with an active community can help this greatly. Overall for 5, for those not concerned with a strange take on World War II, and looking for the most modern, feeling, fluid, and satisfying gameplay, I would probably recommend Battlefield 5 for 2022. While this certainly isn't the video I expected to make or wanted even to make at the beginning of the year, I still enjoyed doing so because, well, I got to talk about Battlefield, a series I will always love despite my rapidly growing dislike and hopelessness for 2042. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did or did not, let me know in the comments below. I'm always looking to improve, and constructive criticism is really helpful. That's it for me. Until next time.